Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Bridge in the Fog. Now, the constructor, Carmen Lambert, it's actually the first puzzle I've ever played from this constructor, so definitely consider it a debut on the channel, but I'm actually going to say I've not played puzzles from her at all, assuming Carmen is indeed a lady. I'm looking at the set of rules, and there is no shortage of them. I actually had to use like really tiny font on the next screen. So just remember that obviously when you actually try and play the puzzle, with a link in the description down below, you will see it on the right hand side, as well of course you will see it in the description below. So if you're not able to entirely see it on the screen, you can follow along with some of the text. Anyway, let's take a look at today's puzzle and rules set with Bridge in the Fog by Carmen Lambert. It's ironic that it's about a bridge called Lambert. Is it? It's not Lambert Bridge, it's Lambeth Bridge here in London. Never mind. Right, rules. Normal Sudoku, German whispers, renbans, region sumlines, parity lines, cells filled with a circle must be, and then kind of odd digits on circles, little killer clues, crop key dots, X and V's, and fog. Goodness me. Right. Quick walkthrough. I say quick. This may take a while. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, column, and box. That's Sudoku. So digits 1 to 9 once each, every row, every column, every box. No repeats. I'm going to go through the ones I can see. Little killers, essentially where it's pointing at the diagonal. So these 3 cells have to point to this sum, the 12. These 3 cells have to sum up to 18, which is the digit that's given there, or the number that's given there. German whispers, essentially digits have to be 5 or more apart. If this is a 2, this would have to be 7, 8, or 9. You can see it's sort of heading into the fog. This would have to be 1 or 3. Obviously, I'm not repeating the 2 in the same column. Or 4. And you end up oscillating with low digits 1, 2, 3, 4, high digits 6, 7, 8, 9, back to low digits. A 2 in here connected with a white crop key dot, this would have to be consecutive, so 1 or 3. If the 2 actually happened to be here, this would have to be 1 or 4, so that one cell is double the other. Let's keep going with the 2 example. So if there was a 2 in here, this would have to be an 8 to make sure that these 2 cells add up to 10 if they're connected by an X. If it actually happened to be a V, it would have to be a 3, so that these 2 cells add up to 5. We have this pink line, salmon line. What color was it referring to? I don't think it was pink. It was not blue, orange. Okay, orange, which is a parity line. So if this cell was 7 or 9, it's an odd digit. This would have to be an even digit, so 2, 4, 6, or 8, but then back to an odd digit of 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. And essentially you'd have to basically go back and forth between odds and evens every step on this line. You can see that there is like a magenta line kind of creeping into the fog in here. Essentially these need to be a set of consecutive digits in any order. So if you imagine that it happens to be 2 cells, it's basically saying that, if this is 1, this would be 2. That was 3, that could be 2 or 4. As long as they are consecutive, you're good to go. Obviously, this could be multiple cells. And the key thing is that there are no repeats. So if there is indeed a renban that extends as such, keep it as that, it doesn't matter. These 2 cells are different rows, columns, and boxes. And they could repeat, but they can't if they're on the renban. So just keep that in mind. We could have had region sumlines. The way to think about region sumlines, if let's say this was not green, this was blue, essentially what it's saying is these 2 cells add up to a value, and then whatever number of cells in here in this box would have to come up to the same sum when you add them all up. So if this happened to be a single cell on here on this blue line, then these 2 cells have to add up to whatever that value is. There's obviously fog. So whenever I place the correct digit, it will reveal the surrounding cells and hopefully give us more information to proceed. Anything else to mention? No negative constraints on crop key dots or XVs. And yes, somewhere in this fog cover, you're going to come across something that looks roughly as such. It'll be actually filled. And essentially, when you come across these gray cells that have, gray circles in the middle, these have to be odd digits. So plenty of rules, hopefully plenty of information to make this a reasonably easy solve. As always, to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So, how will I get on? That's a genuinely good question. Let me think this through something. So, German whisper lines can never have a 5. For it to be 5 or more away, the neighbors would have to be 0 or 10. So, can't have 5 on German whispers, can't have 5 on black crop Q dots, can't have 5s on X's. And essentially, if it's an X, obviously to get to 10 would require a double 5. Black crop Q dots, half of 5 is 2.5, double of 5 is 10, neither of which is allowed. So we've got 2 places where this could be a 5. Now, let's just see if we can rule this one out. If that's a 5, that's 4, 6. That would be, well, 2, 3, or 8. The 6 would have to go to a 4. The 4 would have to go to a 6. On a German whisper line, this would be 1 or 9 in here. This is an even digit. This is back to an odd digit. Then back to an even digit. I mean, so far, I'm not struggling with this example, which is a bit of a challenge. With 4, 6 off the table, this essentially becomes a bit harder. Removes a few options. Don't know, like it's almost like as if you need to solve this in aggregate. I mean, I can remove the 8 option in here because I've kind of forgotten about the 12 clue. So these 3 cells obviously have to add up to 12. So if this is 5, and if that's 3, that's 8, that would have to be 4. That's impossible because that would require a double 9. So 3 is not even a credible option here. So 6 is off the table, 4 is off the table in here, 1 is off the table, no, 9 is off the table there. Now 5 and 2 adds up to 7, which would require another 5. Right, so we can actually remove that 5, and we can actually place our first digit, which is a 5 in here. Excellent. That tells us that these are even digits, because we're on the parity line. So these are 2, 4, 6, and 8. Now, of course, to add to a even digit, this would have to also be 2, 4, 6, or 8. Now, I think we've already proven that I couldn't do 4, 6, because that 4, 6 would require a 5, which is no longer available. So 4, 6 doesn't work. This is, in fact, a 2, 8. And then a 2 or an 8 in here, this is 1 or 4, a 2 and an 8 in here. So if that's 2, that actually couldn't be 1. No, it could be. This would be 1, 3, 7, 9. Never mind. 2, 4, 6, or 8. 4 and 6 don't work because it would require 1 or 9 in here. Well, it would require a double 1 or a double 9, more importantly. 6 would require a double 1, 4 would require a double 9. So 4, 6 disappears off as an option. And I have way too many 2, 8s. This is not working. Of course it's not working because I made an assumption that if this is 4, 6, this would have to be a 5, which it absolutely doesn't have to be. So the 2, 8 is forced, that is much as clear. The 4, 6, well, I'm removing the 5 as an option, but 3, 7 was always an option. And then the 6 can go to a 3 or 1 or 8. Now, this killer clue is probably going to be helpful now. Let's have a think about it. So 8 feels unrealistic because I need to have 1 and 3 and they're not options. So 8 is off the table. So 1 and 3 is possible. There's always a 3 now on here because if this is 6, that's 7 and that's 3, which is too big, that's already at 10. Well, no, I mean, in the 2, that actually works. If this is 4, hang on, this would be 2 or 8. I meant to say 2. So if this is 4, this is 2, and this is 3, so that's 5. But I don't have an 8 as an option, it would be 7. So this is 6, this is 4, this is 9, that's 3, that's 7, that's 2. These are 7, 8, 9s. This is clearly not a 7. The 8-9 ends up with an 8-9 pair because the 7 is not available. So this is 8-9. This is 1 or 2. It's clearly not a 2. That's 1. That's 9. That's 8. And 8 is not an option up here. Excellent. Right. This is from 1 to 4. Reminder of the black crop key dot digits 1, 2, 4, and 8, as well as 3 and 6. I have removed the 3, 6 option. I have removed the 8. So these have to be from 1, 2, and 4, and the 2 is the only way to connect either the 1 or the 4. I can't do 1, 4, obviously. Now, I can't do a 1 in here because that would require a double 2. It's off the table. 2 doesn't work. Yeah, 2 doesn't work. No, 2 could. I could do 2 with a 4. I couldn't do 2 and 1. So this is a 2-4 pair. 2 works with a 1. 4 works with a 5, just because of this 3 in here. 2 and 4. 4 doesn't work because that would require a second 9. So that's the 2, that's the 4, that's the 1. This is 7 or 8 because the 9 is not available. This 3-cell renban is 7, 8, 9. So that's another 7, 8. This means this is a low digit of 1 or 3. Doesn't help me figure out which one this is. And this is 1, 3, 6 with a definite 6 to complete the row. This is 4, 7, 9, I'm going to say. These are 3, 4, 6. Not helpful, really. 7, 8. No. And then the parity is not clear. This is an even digit. It's 2, 4, 6, or 8. Not very helpful. Renban, not exciting. 7 would require, well, I mean, I could go any of them, frankly. Not 2, 3, or 4. Huh. The parity here helps. 1 and 3 forces this to be the 6. 1 and 3 requires this to be 7 or 9. This needs to be a high digit, so it's not a 4. 3 would go with 7 on the German whisper line, which just doesn't work. So that's the 1, that's the 9. That would be the 7 then. And these are not 7s, this is a 3. That 9 requires a 2, 3, or 4 up here. It can't be actually a 4 because it would require a double 9 in the same box, so it's not that. And this is now 7 or 8. This is an odd digit that is not 9. Too many options really to pencil mark, but I'm doing it. Then back to an even digit, which is 2, 4, or 8. And then in here we have 2, 5, and 8. And this is a ton of pencil marks for. Maybe we should use the parity across the row. So I essentially have, actually a 9 in here that gave me a 7, and then 1, not a 7. But I was going to say I have line of sight of a few parities. I've got 3 odds, 2 evens. So maybe worthwhile kind of thinking through that for a second. Tough, tough. Not brilliant. 1 requires a high digit, which at the moment could be any of them, because that could be any cell as well. It's not a 4, but 1, 2, 3. I'm actually not sure what's going on here. I haven't really thought about the 18, but I mean, across 3 cells until we can pencil mark this, that's an average of 6. It's very close to 5. It's not very restricted. Very middly. So I actually haven't got a clue where to go here. Probably some Sudoku. It's always some Sudoku that I'm not thinking about, such as 7 in here, 7 is up there, 1 is up here. It's not exactly helpful. Not helpful here, not helpful there. So at least not vertically. Horizontally. I mean, I haven't really thought about the renbans. It's just I can't see how far they are. Actually, sorry. Even, odd, that has to be 7, that has to be 2. This is 1 or 2. We now know the length of this renban, so that's helpful. not a 2. Back to a high digit that is not 7. This is 6, 8, or 9. This is essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 8 is definitely off this renban. And then there's a question mark about the 1 and 6. And the 2 is not in here. So the 2 definitely has to be there, which removes the 6 option. Doesn't mean that there isn't a 1 in here, by the way. What I can say, though, is that there's definitely a 4, a definite 5, and then there's a question mark about the 1 and 6. This, however, is not a 2 or a 4. That's definitely an 8. This could be a 3, but it's not a 5, and it could be a 1 as well. And in essence, I think this one would be 1, 3, or 6. Is that fair? And then there's a 1, 6 on here with the 4, 5. And then a 1, 3, 6 kind of triple with the open question marks. That's not a 1, however. Works for me. High digit goes back to low digit that is not 2 or 1. So this is 3 or 4. We can see this entire parity line now. This is an odd digit. Kind of interesting. Not really. The only thing I've done is remove the 7 as an option. Even 1 works. I could do 1 with 8 and 9, and that would be absolutely fine. Not a 4. That's a 9. That's a 4. So no 9s. Therefore, the 8, 9 option I was discussing earlier isn't feasible, and therefore that can't be 1 or 7. This, however, could be 3, 5, or 9. And then again, there's a definite 9 this way. The 2, not an option in here, nor is the 5. So that's definitely an 8. And therefore that's 5. That's 2. Sudoku says there is 8 here and 5 there. And there's another definite 1 in here. That's the 4. So really there's another 1 in here. The 1, 6 plus the definite 7. Is it too early to use this? That is 1, 6, or 7, 3, 5, or 9, and then 3, 6, or 4, 8. I don't see from all of these options how we're going to really limit it. I think we can remove the 1, can't we? No. We can still do 9, 8 that way. And then the average of 6, everything else is like not that far off it. So no. Removes the 2 option in here. So this is 1 or 3. Yeah, not too sure. This region sumline, we don't know if the blue line is ending. I mean, it very much looks like a suspension bridge, and that the blue line does end, and then these cells have to add up to whatever's in here, but that would be an assumption, really. Where am I going with this? Let's use parity for a second on here to try and figure out what is this telling us. So these 2 cells are of different parities. So these cells are going to be, I don't know, purple. These 2 cells are going to be orange. So that's 8, that's 7. If that's 8, that's 9. So they're always of different parities. I couldn't have 7 and 9, in essence. That's the main thing. There's a definite 8 between these 2, which is really not enough info to do something useful with it. 7 is in one of 2 cells. This parity is, in fact, an odd digit that is not 1 or 9, so 3, 5, 7, 7 in here seems very feasible. The 7 in here would have been useful because it would be 8 and 9, but too many options. I'm not too sure what's going on. This is not 1 or 3 or 7. So this is actually quite limited now. This is 5 or 9. In fact, sorry, 1, 3, 5, and not 7 because of... Why did it... put a 7, yeah, 7 sevens. So that is just forced to be a 9. That is not a 9. 6 and 8 both are still feasible options with the 1 and 3. I mean, very high chance that this is the end of this renban, and then kind of the German whisper line is back that way, kind of make it look symmetrical. But again, no guarantees. That would be an assumption. I should probably do more Sudoku than I am doing right now. Probably. I mean, if this is a high digit because of that suspected German whisper line, it would have to be a high digit. Without a 7, it'll be 6, 8, or 9. It'll be 6 or 8, which would give us a 9. So it moves us along, and then it would force a 4. It'll open things up. And if that region sumline has a 4 on it, this would have to be a 3 to make this a 7, this an 8. And because that's an 8, that's a 9. You know, like everything falls into place. But we clearly need to just a touch more in terms of the logic. We need to just push it just a little bit more to see some of these things. I mean, I see 2 cells add up to 10 in the fog. That's not material right now. It's not consequential. Do I want to pencil mark this slot? I really don't, do I? 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't remove a single option from any of them? No. We know that this is definitely on the renban. So if this is 1, this would be 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is certainly, and well, I mean, the renban could be longer, so we don't necessarily know that it ends at that part. I know that there is no 6 on it. And there is no 7, and there is no 9. But I mean, there could be an 8. I mean, this cell is very restricted. It's not 1, 2. It could be 3. It's not 4. It could be 5. It's not 6, 7, or 8. So it's actually shockingly restricted. And so far, if you look at this row, we haven't really pencil marked 6. It's down to these 2 cells. The 1, 6 option that we were discussing earlier in this kind of section of the renban, I mean, this is not 1, so this is 4, 5, or 6. This cell is also probably going to be fairly restricted, isn't it? So the remaining options are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've established this is not an 8. Yeah, it doesn't matter, it's in there. So from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, can I remove a single option on this cell? I think the answer to that, sadly, is no. Truly. Okay. I mean, the region sumline with 2 cells that are adding up to 7 or 8, having a third cell, so like this line can extend. It won't make sense for a bridge, but it could go beyond that cell and actually have a third cell. Obviously can't go beyond 3 because 4 cells will be 1, 2, 3, 4 at the minimum, which would be 10. But the fact that there is potentially another one, again, it feels premature to use it. So am I missing something more obvious? I must be missing something more obvious. I think Sudoku will definitely be Sudoku. The 3 and the German whisper line forced an 8, forced a 7, forced a 9, forced a 4. Doesn't force 9 doesn't force a 4. It's the other way around. That was a 4. That would force a 9. Obviously, a 4 doesn't work because it would require a double 9. Think, sleuth, and therefore back to an 8. Leaves us with a 6 in here and then a 1. Then it all looks like what we're expecting with this bridge. The 3 will give me a 5. Gives me a 7. This is now a 4-6 pair. Both are options, not a 5. This is an odd digit that is not 7 or 9 or 1. It's 3 or 5. It's not a 3, it's a 5. This region sumline is exactly what we expected. It's not a 4. It's now a 4. Not an 8. So, and not a 4 in here. So that's 6. That's 2. That's 1. That gives me 4 in here. And then 1, 5, 6. Not a 1. In fact, not a 6 either. That's 5. That's not 5. That's not 6. That's 3. That's 1. That's 6. That should probably help us up here. This is now a 1-7 pair. There is 4, 6, 8 up there. And 3, 5, 9 up here. We'll come back to the killer clue. This is now just known. I need a 2. I need a 3. This is not 2, 4, or 6. That's 8. That's 9. No, I've already placed it. That's 4. In the column now, these are not 1s. This is an 8-9 pair. Actually, not 6. Not 3 or 4. That is the 6. Can't resolve the rest. 8, 9. 2, 4, 7 from the looks of things. Then 3, 5, 6. So if this 10 clue isn't kind of going to break things open for us, we are going to have to look at this, which to be honest, I'm not keen. No 1s. Could be 2, 8. Not 3, 7. Could be 4, 6 in this order. Is it? No. This is not 4 or 6. Okay, so that's forced. That's 8. That's... Hang on. How am I struggling with this? Have I made a mistake? No 1, 9. The 8 and 2 are reversed. No. 8 and 2. 3, 7. 4, 6. So I must have made another mistake. Let me just double check. 6 looks right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 and 8. 9 and 5. 2 and 4. 1 and 2. 4 and 9. 7, 8, 9. 8 and 3. 3, 6, 1. 7, 9, 2, 7, 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9, 5, 8, 6. 1. Yeah, I made a mistake here. A bad mistake here. Goodness me. That was a typo probably ages ago. I don't know how easy this is to recover, by the way. I'm going to give it a go. I'm not sure this is a good idea because fundamentally it hasn't fixed the fact that this is still a double 1 and 3, 7 and 4, 6 are not available. But I mean, it would change the pencil marks down here. So this is now 3, 5, 6. That forces a 3 in here. Doesn't force a 6 there. So we don't actually know what these are. We don't resolve them. Now, the double 1 is still a problem. But the 4, 6 isn't. So this could be 6. This could be 4. And chances are it is, given our behavior, you know, what we saw earlier when we put an 8 in here. I'm going to make an assumption for a second that I haven't broken everything else with this logic, because like the fog was largely confirming what we were doing. So I'm going to keep going. If this is 9, this would have to be 1 and 8. So 9 is feasible, because it couldn't have been 7 and 2. So options 1, 9, 8. Second option, if this is 3, is that these two cells have to add up to 15. So it would have to be 7 and 8. It looks like it's always 8, with these two cells adding up to 10, which kind of makes sense. Because 7 and 9 doesn't work, it requires a 2. 1 and 3 is a 4, it would require 14. So we're always mixing them, lows and highs. Can't be 2 lows and it can't be 2 highs. Yeah. And it's either 3, 7 or 1, 9. So it's always 10. This is an 8. Not exactly helpful. I guess I'm going to have to pencil mark more. What is going on here? 2, 4, 7 again? Is that in the column? To repeat what's happening in here, this is very strange. 2, 4, 7. Again, not a 2. 4, 7 pair removes the 4 option here. 3, 9 pair gives me a 4 up there. Interesting. Not a 4 in here. And then not a 4 in here. This is another 2, 7. So it gives me a 2, 7 pair, which gives me the 1, the 7. And therefore the 9 to add up to 10, the 3. The 9 gives me the 8 and 9. The 8 gave me the 6 and 4, so it resolves that 10 that we had earlier, which gives me the 7, the 2. It probably just opens up the whole thing now. 2, 4, not 6. In fact, 5 and 6, and therefore just 6 in here. Do I know more? Seemingly not right now. The 6 gave me the 5 and 6. The 3, 5 pair are also resolved. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've already got 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I've not made any more silly mistakes, 9 for the finish. Not my smoothest solve, and I'm sorry, Carmen. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the puzzle. It's just I didn't show it off particularly well. That typo, I'm going to assume, because I definitely pencil marked it correctly, was just silly. Not seeing that 3, 8 added time. And like I think aside from these two, it would have been a reasonably smooth solve. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and that you didn't struggle as much as I have. And I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.